Welcome again, and as promised before, this is the last part of 4 videos, right? In this video we're going to talk about the third conditional, right? So welcome again to Wice World English. See there or there, I don't know. Okay, whatever. Anyway, remember that the level for this video is high, intermediate, or advanced. Okay, and before you watch this video, it was important to see the video about the second conditional. So if you missed that one, remember that you can find the link below in comments. Let's get started. When do we use the third conditional? Well, we use the third conditional to talk about situations that happened or didn't happen in the past. Remember, we're talking about the past. This is something that we must have clear in this video, okay? The past. We're talking about past events. The third conditional is also called past and real conditional, because I'm going to talk about situations that happened or didn't happen. Like, for example, if I did something, I'm going to make a reflection about why how things could have been different. Okay, that's what we're gonna see in a moment. Okay, I have two examples for you. Look at the two examples that I have there. Now, for example, I didn't remember to buy a cake, so what happened? My wife bought one. I slept too much, so as a consequence, I didn't finish my homework, right? So we're talking about situations that happened or didn't happen in the past, right? So if you look at the verse, you will see that all the sentences are in the past. Okay? So let's go for the first example. The first example says, I didn't remember to buy a cake, so my wife bought one. Now let's make the conditional. Do you remember how to make the conditional? Maybe you remember when you studied in school or in the institute or something. And if not, we will remember right now how to do this. Okay, for example, let's see, I didn't remember to buy a cake, so I can say, if I had remembered to buy a cake, my wife is similar to the second conditional, but you will see something different. My wife wouldn't have bought one. My wife wouldn't have bought one. Okay, so as you can see, in the first part, I have to say if I had, or if it's negative, is if I hadn't. Keep this in mind, if I had or if I hadn't. And the second part, I have to say I would have or I wouldn't have, or I wouldn't have, right? Okay, so as that's what we do, no? If I had. That tense is called the past perfect. Okay, and the second part is I would have or I wouldn't have. Now, remember that in this grammar, in this third conditional, we have to use the past participle of verbs, okay? So it would be a good idea to review the past participle of irregular verbs, okay? That word remember is not simple past, it's actually the past participle. Okay. Let's take a look at the second example, but before I show you the answer, maybe as practice you can try to write it yourself, okay? Why don't you do it? Let's pause the video for a moment and make a conditional using my sentences there, my sentence there. Now I can show you the answer. If I hadn't slept too much, I would have or wouldn't have. What do you think? Unreal conditional. I would have finished my homework, right? So the reality is that I didn't finish. Okay. Once again, remember the structure is if I had, or if I hadn't. And the second part is I would have, or I wouldn't have. Okay, final practice. To practice at home, what I recommend to you is to write some sentences about situations in the past. Real things that happened to you, okay? For example, look at this. I ate too much. I didn't buy a new phone. Okay, write more sentences, write more sentences. Okay, and with these sentences, what you are going to do at home is this. You're going to create your conditionals. For example, the first one is I ate too much. So my conditional would be, what would have happened if I hadn't eaten too much. If I hadn't eaten too much. You can also say, what would I have done? What would I have done if I had bought a new phone? Okay, so that's it. Okay, you can practice the sentences and then practice making the conditionals, right? And that's it. No, good luck with your practice. And as a souvenir, because we finished the 4 videos as promised, but I promise that in the near future I will try to post a video about how to use mixed conditionals, because that's something that we haven't talked about. Okay, so thanks again for watching my video. Remember to practice at home, and I will see you in future videos as usual in Wice World English. Thank you very much. Bye.